You mean like Kevin Durant last night?
Oh, Cammy.
Wow. Kevin Durant doesn't eat enough or lift enough weights. It's all right, though. When he comes to the Wizards, all these things will change. 2017,
Dude,
baby.
him and John Wall.
And Bradley Beal.
Oh.
Don't forget about Gortat.
The Polish Hammer. My dude.
Okay, Eastern Conference champions in 2017. Don't sleep.
You have them this year.
Don't tell Dan not to sleep.
That's also
He's
true.
got a kid. He doesn't sleep anyway. This guy doesn't
Evan's
sleep
caffeinating
either.
just to stay awake right now.
You pick some sexier intro music for the squad.
I should. Send me over something.
All right, I'll go to the iTunes.
And welcome once again into the bullpen. Everyone's here. Brobes, Brandon Velasquez, Ito's here, JP in the house, and Dan. This is the bullpen. Let's have a hydration check, everyone. How are we doing on fluids? Evan, what you got?
Green tea, mofos.
For the
Why did
caffeine.
he have to get aggressive with the mofos?
Because
on
you're
the
going to call
green
me out
tea?
for being soft, so I had to come out aggressive to start.
Wow.
He's actually not wrong. There's a good chance.
he knows us too well.
JP?
I'm still waiting on Metro Mint to holler at me with the sponsorship. I'm holding out hope, but soon enough they will come to their senses and they will talk dollars.
All right, and the microbrew, or if you want to call it that of the week, Shock Top Pumpkin Wheat. Brobes, your thoughts?
It's all right. It's not as good as the Leinenkugel's version of their pumpkin harvest, but
You weren't excited at all to say
no,
that.
yeah.
Well,
It's okay. It's
we're
beer.
trying something different.
Yeah.
I've never had it before.
Yeah.
5.1 alcohol, so not too bad. All right, Shock Top Pumpkin Wheat, what we're sipping on today. All right, let's get into our top stories this week. Hard not to notice this story, a nationwide, perhaps a global conversation about what's going on at the University of Missouri. Lots of details out there, things being misreported, a lot of information flying around, a lot of conversation on social media as well. Apparently at the University of Missouri, and we'll begin when sports really became involved in this conversation. The university had been dealing with a bit of conflict over racism this year, and on November 8th, which was Sunday, the black football players announced they would not practice or play until university president Timothy Wolf resigned, and that would have cost the university $1 million if they had forfeit their game against BYU this upcoming weekend. And the next day, both the chancellor and the president resigned. The interesting thing here is, why does sports come into play, first of all, and should sports have such an impact on something that's really a global societal issue here?
Well, I think more than anything, it was more money, I think, had the impact. I mean, football does bring in the money, but once you start to realize you're gonna get fined that kind of money for not playing a game, I think that's when people start to move. But that's just on the surface here, because there's a much deeper issue going on at that university than just that.
No, I'm glad you said that first, because forfeiture of the game would automatically cause Missouri to pay BYU $1 million. That's fine, but the black athlete is the most valued labor on campus. Like, no matter what the sport is at any major Division I university, the black kids make the money. And the Mizzou football program brings in roughly each year upwards of $30 million. So Wolf was really fired because money talks.
Yeah.
Like, his ineffectiveness to quell people's concerns and deny people's dignity and humanity is pretty much why he got canned.
Well, that was a point that I saw right after the decision by Wolf to resign. Is this really happening because there was a black student on campus who said he was on a hunger strike.
Right.
He had gone 7 days without eating and said he was going to do that until Wolf resigned his post. Was Wolf really finally stepping down because of that? Because he felt the guilt of having a human being not eat for an entire week?
Oh, no, he didn't care.
Or was it exactly?
It was the
I don't-
pressure.
in my opinion, I don't think he cared either. I think it was all about the money. And
Well,
the
in his
football as well.
statement, he said this whole
Because if
thing
he
broke
actually
down.
cared, he would have stopped
Oh, yeah.
after like day 2 or something like that, or sooner.
Never would have gone that far.
Yeah.
His statement said this whole thing broke down because people got angry and stopped listening. Well, you were the first person who didn't listen.
That's
so
the thing, yeah.
this kind of falls on you. You bear the fruits of the labor of said students, period, whether it be intellectually or on athletic fields. Black athletes, of course, in basketball, football, baseball, track and field at Mizzou and the SEC. He was just ineffective in a crisis-ridden situation. Like, he failed to be sensitive to student demands. Jonathan Butler spearheaded the protests with the rest of the students in his group. The football team was simply the icing on the cake. Like, they needed a hammer to drive that nail through.
I think it gave it more attention when the football team.
Because if you marginalize people and deprive their voices, they'll go elsewhere to get said voice. And you know how to hit people where it hurts when it comes to administration and everything, whether it be corporate, whether it be at a university, is the pocket. So when you shake up the money, all of a sudden everybody wants to care.
There's a lot that's disturbing about this entire story, but if you want to stick to just the sports angle, another part of that disturbed me was there was the report, I believe it was Mark Schwartz at ESPN earlier the week, said he talked to some players and coaches who admitted that they weren't fully behind this decision to boycott practice and said this wouldn't be happening if we were 9-0.
Yeah, I was going to ask that. I mean, they're 4-5, so they got no chance.
Right, which to me, I would think it would be the other. I would hope it would be the other way around. I would think they would be more encouraged to do it at 9-0 because you were making an even larger statement and a bigger bang against the university if you go boycott and say we're not playing football when you have possibly millions of dollars.
Could you imagine
more
this
millions of
happening at
dollars
Clemson right now? If Clemson said they were going to boycott.
I mean, or Bama. You know, there's some kid. We saw what Alabama fans post on the internet, what they comment in C sections at every Yahoo article. This is what we're gonna roll. The Tide are gonna roll and finish what Katrina started. Like, I'm sure this happens at a lot of these SEC schools, and it just so happens that Missouri was the first to take a stand.
What's funny is that they've only been an SEC school for a couple of years.
Yeah,
but they've already got that pull. And it's amazing what that SEC money can do.
I mean, Missouri's been in like knee-deep sugar honey iced tea for a while. I mean, this is just adding to that pile.
And I think we can all agree this is not something that's isolated just to that school. I mean,
No.
I'm surprised that more schools, and maybe this is the first of many. It could
But
be the
you
first
also
of
have
many
to, like,
for administrations
that
to deal
university
with.
is in a hotbed right now, too, with what's
With
going
everything,
on.
yeah.
Nationally, with what's gone on this entire year. So I think it makes it even more of a story because of that.
Yeah, I feel like it's been happening forever.
Yeah.
Like, literally, it's been happening forever. And, like, black people finally have an opportunity to bring this to the forefront because of the internet. Like, America's been doing this, but because we have Twitter, we have Facebook, there's a voice. So now it gets out to the masses, and people can say, wow.
Yeah, because Twitter wasn't around when I was in college, and I lived with football players. When I went to East Carolina, and it wasn't. We never really saw like the kind of stuff that they're talking about. But there was always like a little, and again, being in the South too, there was always some racism toward those guys. So I would see it a lot. But yeah, like you said, back then there was only just Facebook. There wasn't in which,
and you had to have a
college
email
to be
it.
a part of it. So. Now you can get your message out.
Hopefully, another positive to be taken from this is the fact, as JP mentioned, the power of the black athlete voice, the student athlete voice as well.
Correct.
To hopefully, ideally, get better circumstances. Yes, these kids get a lot of money in a way through free scholarships and food and board, but in terms of, you mentioned $30 million at Mizzou,
Upwards of $30 million. This isn't a down year.
The gigantic moneymaker for these universities across the country, and that's why more needs to be done to make sure that these athletes are compensated properly for that.
And the crazy part, not to belabor the point, is that's just the football team. Like, Missouri has basketball, Missouri has baseball, Missouri has a up-and-coming track and field program, and that's just $30 million from one branch on the tree.
Don't forget that swim program. Pat Forty won't let you.
There you go. World-class swimmers at Mizzou. Shout out to Forty and his army. So, yeah, man, I'm glad it happened. Tim Wolf, good riddance. I hope you never work an administration job again because you have no idea what you're doing. If anybody smears a feces-made swastika anywhere on your university and you do nothing about it, and then students approach you outside of your building, walking to your car, and you call the police on non-threatening, non-violent students and just hide in your car, that's terrible.
Ignorant. That's just straight ignorant.
And any of his apologists, y'all can get it too because we saw you on the internet. Not going to name any names.
All right. Well, it has sparked a conversation, and hopefully some things do begin to change. And cheers to the players at Mizzou that took that stand there. Moving on to another story in the SEC. In fact, Evan, looks like our Heisman frontrunners got a little bit of a problem right now.
Yeah, again, kind of goes back to the same point we were just talking about, athlete compensation. Leonard Fournette, maybe still the Heisman frontrunner. We can discuss that later. But the LSU running back, his family being investigated for apparently violating possibly NCAA rules. They had started a website and were selling T-shirts and merchandise with the phrase "Bugga Nation" on it. Bugga Nation is a catchphrase that Leonard uses. And apparently they had started it earlier in the year. Didn't last more than 24 hours before the website was shot down, or taken down. And now the NCAA, as a reminder, does prohibit athletes or family members from profiting off of the athlete's name, image, or likeness. Josh Peter, USA Today, was one of the guys this week who had a big story about this. Again, brings this whole story of these are the athletes and the young people who are generating this revenue for these universities, and they're not able to capitalize on that. In my opinion, I think that's a big problem. I think that's got to change somehow, whether it's a family on their own time. This is like a side business in a way. If the family wants to start up a company to, sell merchandise to support their son, great. I'm not sure. I haven't seen the shirts. Apparently, they had this logo, Bugga Nation, and they had LSU colors. You can't copyright purple and yellow.
No.
I mean, you can call that your school colors. You can sell uniforms with those colors, but it's under the sky. It's in the rainbow. You can't trademark the colors purple and yellow in merchandise.
So is this big enough to be another Reggie Bush type situation?
Nah, because he shut it down. It never really came to fruition. Like, they didn't really make sales.
Yeah, you have to see how much money they, in fact, if they made any money, which I don't think they did, but.
And this is a guy that also, raised $100,000 in charity for his game-worn jersey.
Oh, yeah, exactly. I was going to say, this is a guy that wanted to sell his jersey, yeah. But you can get a Leonard Fournette jersey on the LSU team shop for a cool $90.
And
if you like.
And how much of that does Fournette see?
Right. He sees exactly 0 cents worth of that.
To be fair, from the NCAA's perspective, it's not a Leonard Fournette jersey.
Oh, right.
It's an LSU number 7.
It's a number 7 jersey. Right. It just happens to be prominently displayed at the top of your website.
Right. Yeah, the hypocrisy there is unbelievable. But there was talk too, how is this going to affect Fournette's NFL draft status going forward? Scouts said no, there's no way, and it shouldn't. It shouldn't affect his draft status whatsoever, or his stock, I should say.
One day people will understand that America is not a country; that it's a business. Mm-hmm. Once people can fully grasp that, we won't have to go through these stories anymore.
What does Bugga mean? I
have no idea.
Yeah,
being united generates attitude.
See? That's a good message.
Great.
Being united generates attitude. But don't make any money off that, because that would be the end of the world.
Don't.
Well,
or I'll take away all your eligibility, which I really don't need, because I should be in the NFL,
should be in the league right now,
saving my body and making as much money as I potentially can until my body wears out.
He's a top 10 NFL running back right now, and he's playing college football.
Well, that brings
to
Evan's point. That brings to the question is, and we quickly can just go through what we think the Heisman race looks like after they lost to Bama.
I understand that people are going to say that, he should be downgraded because he didn't show up against Bama, but, JP and I watched that game together, and that offensive line was absolutely atrocious. I know Bama's defensive front is solid, and that front 7 is wicked, and most of those guys are going to be in the NFL.
Who brought that up first, by the way? Thank you
that would
very
be
much.
a Doherty call last week, A+ on the call there. He mentioned that. But nonetheless, like, the guy still found the end zone. He still was fighting hard. He still ran guys over and made them think twice about ever stepping in front of him again the rest of that game.
I went back and counted. He had 4 rushes where he wasn't hit by a defensive lineman first. He didn't get to the second level at all in that game. So definitely shout out, kudos to Alabama's defense, but his offensive line should have walked home. Because they were terrible. In regards to the Heisman, though, I mean, Fournette still has 139 more yards than Derrick Henry on 23 fewer carries. Like, he's still the cream of the crop when it comes to running backs in college football. Henry's good, don't get me wrong, but he's no Leonard Fournette.
I think Henry does deserve a little bit more credit, because he wasn't getting the pub at the beginning of the season that he probably deserved coming into this year, and he's really started to play well. And it's kind of coincided with Alabama moving up the charts. But, yeah, I think Fournette still has that Heisman lead.
They got a couple of winning teams to deal with, too, in Ole Miss and Arkansas before the end of the season. So we'll see if Fournette slows down. All right, moving on to social media this week. Evan, what's going on with the Cleveland Indians?
Yeah, had a kind of funny tweet on Wednesday morning. They tweeted out a photo of Jacobs Field, sunny blue skies there in the great OHIO, and it said, "This is baseball weather. First 18 people to meet us at the right field gate can play. Go!" Sure enough, got about 250 retweets, and people probably thought in Cleveland, "Oh my God, I can go play
Because there's nothing else to do in Cleveland.
on the field in Cleveland." Yeah, exactly. Well, it was a nice 54-degree day in Cleveland today.
Stalk LeBron.
Stalk LeBron if you're not doing that.
Party with Manziel, but that's really about it.
Then they tweeted out about 5 minutes later, JK, our groundskeeper, would be mad at us. So what do you think about the Indians trolling their fans?
It's the most Cleveland thing to do.
I don't even understand how that happens. Like, why would you?
I had to play a football game.
Well, here's the, like you look at that tweet and like you have to know in the back of your mind that they're just messing with you. But the fact that like, was there a number of how many people actually showed up? Were there people that actually showed up?
I'm not sure how many people actually showed up, but
Because those people, like, they probably need to be checked a little bit, just because like come on, you can't think that they're just going to let you on the field without like giving you a good heads up or having some kind of like payday or something that comes along. They're not just going to let you on the field.
But it's a liability. I played a football game at Angel Stadium in high school, and baseball fields aren't fun. Like, you slip, you fall. I feel like somebody would just be running in the outfield and break a wrist. And, now the Indians are getting sued.
Yeah, anytime you had a chance, like anytime I visited a stadium, I visited the Sky Dome when I was a kid, and I got to take a tour and run around. And that was when it was like really bad AstroTurf. Yeah, that was terrible.
Yeah,
like,
it's a
who would want to
liability.
play? Yeah.
yeah, Indians had some fun going back at some people. Some people said that joke was as bad as your season.
Ouch.
To which the Indians responded, "That take was almost as hot as this unseasonably warm weather we're having." Someone also said, "How does Cleveland still have any professional teams?" Someone also said, "Stadium is as packed as a regular season game," because it was completely empty. So, and hey, you know what? I like that these teams in any professional sport are having fun with the social media. I think that's part of it. You got to have a bit of a humor. You got to be a little self-deprecating too.
But I think it's better when they're going with other teams and not like
Yeah,
pretending
it's
to give
great
something
when
away
they
to
go
their
back
fans.
and forth. Yeah. Don't
Because the hockey
because-
Twitters are pretty good about going back and forth with other teams, but when you start messing with the fans, I don't know.
I don't think you should, because there are a lot of people that are just going to believe anything they read on social media, and evidently, I would like to find out how many people actually showed up to the stadium, had that time off.
That'd have been a great photo to see everybody outside the gates trying to get in, and they're like,
Nah, we were totally kidding.
Somebody's got a picture of it somewhere.
Here's a gift card for 2-for-1 tickets for next year.
The mascot walks out with the sign.
And people are just dropping it as they walk away.
But only when we play the White Sox.
Yeah. Well, more people than probably showed up for that. We're complaining about the Starbucks Cup this
God.
week. Just bring this up real quick because there's Sports Illustrated put out an article on this. It's kind of interesting that, there's a social media uproar about the fact that the Starbucks Cup only has red on it and no snowflakes and no trees and nothing Christmassy. And they're trying to decide if, Starbucks is being politically correct or what. But the NBA revealed the next day that they're putting a snowflake on their Christmas ball this year, the ball that we played on December 25th.
So are we critiquing Starbucks here, or are we critiquing the NBA?
Well, both, because I think the major conversation was about the Starbucks Cup, but this article here said that they may have done that, put the snowflake on the ball as a nod to Starbucks that we still care about Christmas.
Anybody heard that any publicity is good publicity? I feel like Starbucks just trolled the hell out of everybody, and everybody's talking about Starbucks now, and more people are going to buy that cheap coffee.
Hey.
I think it's more Fox News being crazy and getting people all upset about a red cup, but yeah.
More distractions.
Exactly. NBA is the only major sport that plays games on Christmas.
You're right.
That's I
It's
think
their
I
thing.
think that was well planned
Yeah.
long ago that they're going to put a snowflake on the basketball. Come on.
And quick side note, like they've come up with some really bad jerseys on Christmas Day. I really like the ones that they've come up with for this year.
Yeah, they got the solids
They're very-
holiday font.
Right. Yeah.
A cream color,
Yep.
Very nice.
Very
Solid.
subtle.
I think I
Subtlety is
saw.
key.
I think I saw Steph Curry's Christmas jersey in the 24 hours that they were on sale on the NBAstore.com. It was the number one
Oh, I'd buy one.
item in no time.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I as far as the Starbucks thing, it's just it's asinine that people get their panties in a twist over this kind of stuff.
Really?
Right.
cares?
When there are bigger problems, aka what's going on in Missouri, that, you should really care about other than the color of your cup or the fact that it doesn't have anything Christmassy on it or that it does have something Christmassy on it. Who cares? If you don't like the cups at Starbucks, don't go. End of story.
Yeah.
You'll save $5 on a latte if you
Yeah.
just make your own coffee.
You know
at
what?
home.
The price of my drink went up. I just found out when I went in this morning.
Were you
'Cause
outraged?
it normally costs.
You threw the red cup across
It normally
the room.
costs $4.95. So like I go in and they recognize me. They put the order in, and all of a sudden, like I hand them the $5 bill. I look up, it says $5.25. It's gone up. It's gone up 30 cents in a week, and I'm just saying it's probably a holiday pricing thing.
Yeah,
but I'm
sure.
But I look like the asshole.
You're like,
because I hand them the $5 bill, and I'm like, oh wait, you need another $1. Here you go.
Inflation is a killer.
Yeah, well, it was buzzy this week, and just goes to show you how much time people have on their hands.
I hope they go away forever.
All right, moving on. CSN Bay Area reporting this week, no surprise to anybody, that Super Bowl tickets will be the most expensive in history here at Levi Stadium in the Bay Area. Got me thinking about how much you would pay to go to that game, first of all, but also the question of the day that I'd like everybody to answer would be, if you could have 50-yard line seats to any football game in history, what game would it be? Anybody want to go first?
So what are we answering first? How much we pay for Super Bowl tickets?
Sure.
I'd pay literally an arm if the Vikings were in it.
See, that's the
But-
problem, though. Is
but-
that when,
yeah,
when are you
yeah, yeah.
buying the tickets? Because you got to know who's playing.
If it's Patriots Panthers or Patriots Packers, I'll watch that game at home.
Yeah.
I don't need to deal with the crowds and the shenanigans and
When you live in
having-
Santa Clara. Good
right?
luck.
Yeah. Well, I could walk to the game in like 10 minutes,
Yeah.
but like it. No, I don't.
Tens of thousands of dollars these tickets are
No.
already going for on StubHub.
pass.
Yeah.
Hard pass.
I wouldn't pay that much to see these Washington Redskins.
What about the Doug Williams, John Riggins?
Ooh,
Oh, easy.
Mark
With-
Rippon
with the diesel?
Art
Oh.
Monk.
Oh, God, Art Monk, the GOAT of wide receivers.
Whoa!
Oh,
So-
you just said that to two
we
Niners
go.
fans. Here we go.
So let's do this. Before Jerry Rice
Spin-off.
before Jerry Rice had all the receiving records, who had them first?
you want to go back to
But get
Joyner,
this.
San Diego was probably up there.
Who did this on a team who ran the ball 77% of the time? Jerry Rice had squads that threw the rock all day. Art Monk was with the
I feel like
Hogs.
this is a conversation for another.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
I
but
mean,
let's
you can
have it. Let's
I have
it.
nothing against Jerry Rice. I just think that Art Monk had to do more on less
I
opportunities.
lived in DC for 4 years, and I became a huge fan of Art Monk just in that short little bit of time that I was there.
all that stock block and all those pancake blocks. Jerry wasn't pancaking
Nothing
people.
against Jerry, but
And
Art,
Jerry's tight.
yeah.
He's not Art Monk.
he's the 20th all-time in yards.
Okay, that's fine.
Well, I mean, that kind of match. I mean,
I mean, the game's different. Game's
Yeah.
different.
Game's different. I was gonna say I'll make part of JP's argument for
Run
him.
back
the
to
fact that
receptions.
They were how much Washington ran the ball. I mean, that would probably
Sure.
put him down at 20.
Like
Terry Allen?
8 out of 10 plays.
Run through the top 10 for me.
Jerry Rice, 23,000, almost 23,000 yards. Next, Terrell Owens at 16.
Owens.
Then we go Randy Moss, Isaac Bruce, Tony Gonzalez, Tim Brown, Marvin Harrison, Reggie Wayne, James Lofton from back in the day,
Nice.
and Steve Smith at number 10.
Pull up the receptions, not the yards, the receptions. Because that's really what counts. Because when we pull up
Spit in the numbers
when
any
we-
way you can.
I know we're off topic, quote unquote, in the
No, it's
podcast,
fine.
but when you pull up receptions, that's what knocks TL off the list because he's dropped so many passes. Is he really a Hall of Fame wide receiver with all
Then,
those
then you have to
drops?
go into catch rate, right? That would have to be catch rate.
And that's why Art Monk is the GOAT.
Art
What
Monk,
hurts Ted Ginn?
Art
His
Monk number
chances.
18 on that list.
Jerry played longer, but
That's true. 5 more years.
But Jerry broke his records.
Could Art Monk
There's no
catch
doubt.
bricks with his bare hands?
Easy. Have you seen Art Monk's hands?
Could Art Monk
I haven't.
No, I haven't.
Art
Get
Monk's
away
hands are like 2 of mine, and I think I have big hands, or Art Monk's hands would swallow mine.
could Art Monk get away from a massage parlor
Right,
faster
getting
than
back
Jerry
on-
Rice?
We'll come back to Art
this.
Monk
Yeah,
versus
we'll
Jerry Rice at some
revisit the
point.
Art Monk.
Not
Jerry
if it was
Rice
on
debate.
Santana Row, no.
But the question I have for the gentleman here in the bullpen, if you could have 2 50-yard line tickets to any football game in history, what would it be? Brandon, take it.
I'd go 2013 Iron Bowl. The kick return.
That was a great
Chris
finish.
Davis.
Just
taking
because
the missed field goal, yeah.
the impact, it's the rivalry game, it's the way it ended. It launched Auburn into the SEC title game and then into the national title game, the last BCS title game. But also, if I'm going to that game, I'm SEC tailgating beforehand.
Oh, absolutely.
Are you screaming
So-
War Eagle?
I'm screaming, I love this country. That's what I'm screaming before that game. But yeah, that just to be 50-yard line and watch him run all the way across the field like that would be completely and utterly awesome. And I say that solely because the Vikings have never won a big game that I could choose to be at.
Yeah, and
So-
that's probably why it helps me go towards my childhood
Right.
team and the 49ers. You know, I've seen the video. I've seen I know the NFL films almost verbatim in my head.
Catch?
No.
The drive.
Super Bowl 23,
Damn
the
it,
drive
that was mine.
ended
You guys can sit together.
Oh, we can sit.
You want to go together?
We'll take
got two tickets.
Two tickets.
2 tickets to paradise.
Yeah. Joe Montana leading them all the way down, pointing out John Candy on the sidelines before they went down. Roger Craig out of the
Great.
backfield.
Great.
Brent Jones, Jerry Rice, and then John Taylor on the slant, 37 seconds.
Man,
Be amazing.
that's a good one.
For those listening,
I'll join
both
right
of
in.
these gentlemen have taken off their pants.
Yeah.
That's how excited they've gotten
but
about
see,
this game.
But see, Evan, I don't know about you, but I would actually want to see it when I was probably like 14 or 15, when I got really passionate about sports, but like I was still a kid and I could like really, really enjoy my heroes being out there. Not that you're jaded now when you get
can
older.
you not? I still go to games and I still I take it all in. Like when the national anthem's going, I look around. Like
You get teary-eyed?
I take for other reasons, but I take everything in. Like I'm still a fan at heart. Like I still love going to games.
Yeah, I agree, but I think just at that age when I was really, really, and I still am
But because you
passionate
can
about the team.
appreciate it more.
I
as
just feel
an
like
adult.
being young and having that. It's almost like there's nothing that can jade you at that age. Even
True.
I'd even say younger. Like 12 would have been to be there with my dad.
But I
or
think you
something
can
would have been
remember
amazing.
things more at this age and appreciate it more.
Perhaps, but that would be just the way I would do it.
Yeah.
I'd like to see it when I was.
So
younger.
you take your dad and not me?
If I was 12, yes. Sorry, buddy.
That's disappointing.
Damn, Doherty.
He knows
Mainly because-
he knows he used to butter his bread.
Yeah.
All right, JP, what do you got?
At first, I wanted to go back in time and watch myself as a standout high school athlete, but that's pretty self-centered, and I'm not. So
I kind of actually that's my second one. I want to go watch JP in that
All right,
game he was
Can we get 3
describing.
tickets for Evan,
Yeah.
Brandon, and I?
Yeah, we want to go watch JP ball out in high school.
y'all would have really dug that game.
That one?
Brandon Rogers, I'm gonna make sure you listen to this. Your dad is still one of the greatest people I've ever met in my life. He is still also the worst referee in the history of all refereeing. He threw a pass interference call on 3rd and 18 from the other side of the back judge watched the play, and his dad threw the flag, and that's what lost the game. Like, how did he see that? He saw that through all the traffic? But that's another story.
Okay.
So the game I would choose, if it had to be one game, would probably be the 2003 game between Miami and Florida State. Shout out to Sean Taylor, who was my favorite football
Is that
player.
wide right?
Yes, and the greatest safety in the history of all of football. I only got to see Sean Taylor play twice, both, of course, on the Redskins. Would have been dope to see him at the U and knock off number 5 Florida State at Doak Campbell Stadium. That was a game. He had 2 picks, ran one back with the splash, with the orange reflective visor. He was just so menacing, and everybody wanted to be Sean Taylor, a 6'2", 231-pound safety who ran like Dion and hit like Jack Tatum.
I remember watching that game, pulling for Miami so hard and being so disappointed when they
Florida
lost
State
that.
was so they became more hateable than the U at that point.
Right. You know, you actually sparked an idea. If I can add one more, I kind of want to troll JP with this one because I thought he might go this way for a second. 2006 Rose Bowl, Texas USC.
I was surprised you
That is a
didn't
good
pick
one.
that one. That's your game.
My boy Vince Young.
Oh, VY. This man had a Vince Young jersey. He wore it all the time at Arizona State.
Standing with the confetti at the end.
Yeah.
Oh, so good.
He put the fear of God in everybody in that USC defensive backfield. That was so sad. They were afraid to tackle him. They were afraid to tackle
I
him.
love the 30 for 30 on that game, too.
Oh, yeah. Shout out to Reggie Bush, who decided to throw the ball backwards for no reason.
Speaking of, all right, hey, actually, this could bring up another point with Reggie Bush. Suing the city of St. Louis now for the injury he suffered against the Rams by
What is
slipping on that.
Like, why are you suing the city?
But the crazy part,
because you slipped.
but he slipped on his back and blew out his left knee. His left knee wasn't even in question while he was going to the ground.
It's like when you drink hot coffee at McDonald's and you sue them because the coffee
someone
was hot.
did, and that's why they put it on the label.
Yeah, it's
and
so
won.
stupid though.
But they got the red cup, so we're good.
You can, that's not. No. I'm glad you brought that up though. That is one of the
That's
dumbest
funny.
things
Yeah.
I ever saw.
He knows his career is over, so he's literally trying to get all the coins that he possibly can before he has to officially call it quits. Because there's no way that I shouldn't say there's no way because he'll recover, but he will not be anywhere near the same Reggie Bush. I mean, he's already been a mediocre pro, but now he'll come back and do
You want
what?
to know who's to blame for that?
Kim Kardashian.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you. He just had it.
Kim
Recurring
Kardashian.
theme
Yeah.
on the podcast.
It's a curse. They bring down your net worth quickly.
Oh yeah.
All right. Well, actually, if you do have a historical game that you, the listener,
Yeah.
want to be at, send us an email at bullpenpodcast@gmail.com. We'll share them
Yeah,
next
man.
week on the
Send
show.
an email or tweet.
Let's move on to JP's dating advice this week. I'm just going to let you take this one. I guess cuffing season is upon us.
Yeah, man. You know when it gets cold outside and all those single people don't really want to be single anymore in their heads. It's time to get cuffed.
So how do you get prepared?
Is that like fantasy football where you handcuff a running back?
It's actually better than that. We'll
Okay.
even read the Urban Dictionary definition of the seasonal phenomenon known as cuffing season. During the fall and winter months, people who would normally rather be single or promiscuous find themselves along with the rest of the world desiring to be cuffed or tied down by a serious relationship. The cold weather and prolonged indoor activity causes singles to become lonely and desperate to be cuffed. I mean, that's close to being true.
Do you long to be cuffed?
I was going to say, it's that time of
because
year.
you're the only one that is uncuffed.
I mean, I might not participate in cuffing season this year.
You gonna take a year off?
I mean, I'm kind of on hiatus.
Is
Like
it-
I might
is-
have placed myself on IR.
This year's class a little bit lower, not as deep.
Yeah.
I mean, it's difficult to fill.
Are we looking at a Bama recruiting class here?
and that's a great point. It's difficult to
or
recruit.
BYU.
It's difficult to recruit in the Greater Bay Area. This is more like a University of Arizona recruiting class where you're kind of just getting rival scraps at this point.
Wow. Love it.
Oh, can't wait
Love
for the
the
heat.
shot at the
heat this week,
Wildcats.
JP.
And man, each year the field gets smaller because most of the chicks who used to get cuffed and were first round draft picks actually get signed to multi-million-dollar deals or multi-year deals. Mm-hmm. I mean, I know a lot of young ladies who were cuffed that are now franchise players. Okay, they signed their tender and they're done. They got
His
the
metaphors
chunky
are
rock.
gorgeous.
Amazing.
They're just beautiful.
They got the chunky rock on the finger. So for those who are still participating in what is known as cuffing season, you got to get ready. Dudes, make sure you actually have your own Netflix password. No more of the borrowing. Because chicks not going to dig that when you got to text your homeboy or call somebody to get the password for Netflix and chill.
See, how about the advice though for the other side of this, for the Al, from nothing? Yeah, we'll go with that example. The Al Davis that signs a Larry Brown to a contract and locks them down. What about the guy who makes the mistake of cuffing when really he should remain a free agent for another year?
I feel like you can revisit a cuffing season contract at any point during the season. These things are always up for grabs. You can get legal involved if you need to. I mean, because that has happened before that you may need to get representation to get out of said contract.
DeMaurice Smith.
Correct. You can have a cuffing season PA, like an NFL PA. You can have a cuffing season PA who could represent you in said cases. You got to make sure you're signing the right players, and this could be a roster. Remember that now. You got 5 spots.
You got 5 spots.
But all 5 spots
Any
play different
DL
roles.
spots?
See, this is the thing. Like all 5 spots play different roles. Like you need somebody who probably has the plug at what you guys like, coffee. You might need somebody who works at the restaurant. You might need to pull you a flight attendant. You got to diversify this roster like you would diversify a portfolio of stocks. So
Diversify.
Diversify
correct.
and get your Netflix password.
I think we need weekly updates on cuffing season.
I think so.
But also for the other side, ladies, you got to come prepared too. Like if it's a weekend and you are being cuffed or attempting to be cuffed, make sure to tell your man to set his fantasy lineup, okay? Make sure that the pantry is full for the next morning for breakfast. Like, this is a two-way street here, so we can't just be doing the whole 80, 20, 60, 40. This needs to be 50, 50, or else the contract is not extended. So technically, everybody kind of starts on a 10-day. And
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
there you go.
All right.
after that performance, we go back to the table and,
Oh, so that makes more sense why you got a five-player roster.
That's
Correct.
With
okay.
a 10-day. It's more
See,
NBA.
I was thinking
than
football
NFL.
metaphors, and we're supposed to be on NBA.
I mean,
Got it.
unless it's like a Hallie, and then you can just you just hit her with the franchise tag, like you just give her the max tenor for 1 year, and then go from there after Valentine's Day, because after Valentine's Day it might warm up.
Is that when cuffing season ends?
Correct, because when it gets hot again, that's when you got to get your prospects back up and get back in the game.
Got it.
Get ready for spring training.
That's correct. You got to come correct. That's why they say summer bodies are made in the winter, because all winter you're cuffed, but when you come out to the spring, it's time to perform.
He needs to write a book.
I know, this would be amazing.
This is. I'm not kidding. Like, I want this written down. Like,
Great
full
stuff.
on.
Great stuff.
It's
Well,
like bro code, only better.
let's check back in. Let's check back in on cuffing season
Yeah.
next week. JP is here about
Yeah, we
more,
want cuffing updates.
more of
JP.
We
more of what's
need
going
people to
on.
call in or tweet,
Yeah.
email your roster questions.
I'm gonna.
roster questions for JP.
Sit or start.
Okay.
Bullpen podcast at Gmail.
No, I'm,
Send them
I'm,
in.
I'm gonna create a Twitter account during this podcast.
Okay.
we can do flames and lames. We can do sits and drops. I mean, this is easy. It's
Trade requests.
it's a science. It's a science, but it's one
But
that
there's
you
a
can
waiver
learn
process.
quickly. Ooh, we don't do trades.
No trade.
And in this business, sharing is definitely not caring.
All right. We'll move into this actually happened. Some stories of things that are going on that seriously, this is actually happening. Brandon, we'll start with you. What do we got?
Oh, what do we got?
Ray.
Something about a dog?
Oh,
Take
but
it over.
Ray Armstrong, Raiders linebacker, is being investigated for allegedly harassing a police dog in Pittsburgh.
Barked at a canine dog, which apparently in Pennsylvania is a felony, a possible felony.
Barking.
Barking
Didn't touch him.
at a dog.
Just barked at
Well, as a dog owner, if you're gonna, you could frustrate certain dogs by doing that.
Right.
So I get that. You could set them off, but a felony? I mean, that's a little harsh.
7 years in prison and a potential $15,000, but 7 years in jail.
For taunting a dog.
Or barking
now,
at a
I
dog.
I don't advocate taunting animals at all because I love dogs more than anything. But 7 years is ridiculous.
People, they are people, kinda. Police behave inappropriately towards citizens, black persons especially, on a daily basis with zero repercussions. This is another example of an animal's rights taking precedence over that of a person. Like, this is Ray being undervalued
But he's
as a human.
technically an officer. That's the thing.
Yeah, I guess
that's
they
the
say
kicker.
That, but they haven't charged him with anything, but they're
Right.
looking into it. But
Yeah.
it's just a ridiculous story. in
Like,
general.
that's a waste of time and resources.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
I couldn't agree more.
I mean, how come we're not slapping felonies on cops shooting people in the back, or shooting unarmed citizens, or shooting people in cars, or tasing people to death, people dying in police custody? Why aren't these people being slapped with 7-year felonies? But if you bark at a dog, that's the most egregious thing that you could possibly do on earth, and deserve to spend 7 years in federal prison, because that makes sense.
I think JP took that the other
Yeah,
way.
the
We were
whole-
just trying to have fun with
The
how
whole story. The
ridiculous
whole
it
story
sounds,
doesn't
and-
make sense. Why
Yeah.
why they even care? But I mean, you're right. You're absolutely right.
Free Ray Ray.
Hashtag free Ray Ray.
I don't. Well, he hasn't been. He's not unfree. So
Yeah, that's right. He's
so
technically
right
not.
now-
Hashtag keep Ray Ray free.
There you
There
go.
we go. Right.
All right, somebody who is not getting off scot-free is the Arizona State mascot. Evan, we got some problems there.
Or Sparky.
Oh, Sparky. So a few weeks ago, a couple months ago actually, it was September 18th, the Sun Devils hosted New Mexico, and Tempe Councilman David Shapira showed up, and he apparently had suffered some kind of back injury not long before being at this game, but he went and visited and was on the sidelines during the game. At some point, the Sparky mascot snuck up behind Shapira, kind of picked him up, and at some point, Shapira felt a pop on his back after Sparky kind of picked him up and put him down. And obviously, Sparky didn't realize that there had been some kind of injury. So, the doctor is now suing, or the councilman, needed to go to a doctor, is now suing for more than $123,000.
That's amazing.
Arizona
Seriously?
State University.
He's just trying to get that tuition back.
Has a employee of the city of Tempe. He's now suing a state university for $123,000. Like that. Come on, dude. Like, I understand.
There's no way he knew.
It's an unexpected medical bill. Yeah, that sucks.
You mean to tell me he doesn't have insurance through the city?
That, could not cover most of his medical expenses?
I thought this was going to deal with Sparky throwing up the shocker and somebody being offended by that.
No.
This gentleman should change his name to Fetty Wap. Petty McKnight.
Wow.
Petty
Dan, do you know who Fetty Wap is?
Petty LaBelle.
All right.
Wait.
I just wanted to ask.
Wait, you don't know who Fetty Wap is?
I probably do, but again, you catch me off guard with these things.
This is not true, Dan, because you are an avid baseball fan and you love the Kansas City Royals.
I don't love the Kansas City Royals by any means.
And you don't know who Fetty Wap is. He is the second greatest one-eye rapper to Slick Rick.
Again.
Okay, I'm joking. He's not a great rapper, but
No.
he was funny.
Not at all.
Shout out to the
Fetty Wap,
to the eye patch that he doesn't wear.
All right. Sorry, I'm not up on my any.
Get it together,
rap knowledge.
Dan.
I know, seriously. Last one here, and JP, I'll look to you on this one because a Southern California high school football team made the section playoffs at 0-10. They got a win because of a team they played who beat them badly, had ineligible players, so they got a forfeit win. But they made the playoffs at 0-10. And it's based on, this is how the CIF does their rankings for this. They go by strength of schedule, right? And you get bonus points for just playing teams that are better than you. And so they beat out some 5-5 teams from the same section for the last playoff spot in the bracket. So my question to you and JP, the reason why I ask you this is because you played in Southern California. You know a lot of these teams.
I played this garbage school multiple times and sat out second half of the game because they were still hot garbage.
They're terrible, right? So the question is, when it comes to high school sports, and really any sport, and you could even apply this to the college football play if you want, should strength of schedule be as important as people make it out to be?
If you're on a losing squad, you don't deserve postseason play. You have to win. You need to excel. This is a bad thing in society where they give out participation trophies. Don't give a kid a trophy for participating. Like, give a kid a trophy for winning, for earning victory. There's no way that you should ever be in Southern Section playoffs. Because what about the teams who literally missed the playoffs by one game and they sit at home? But we have a team with 0 wins who gets to play in postseason?
But that's my point, is their strength of schedule earned them the spot in the playoffs. So should it be as important as people make it out to be? I think, and this is true of any sport, if you're not 500, you should not be in the postseason.
Correct.
And you can't do it in pro leagues because, in the
Tell
majors.
that to the, what was it, the Seahawks a few years ago, and then didn't the
Seahawks and
Panthers?
Rams had
last
that.
year.
Yeah, the Panthers last year.
And you see it in the NBA.
It's atrocious.
Because they have to take 8 teams.
Right.
So I don't know. I saw
the
story
Eastern
and
Conference the last few years, there's been teams that have barely made it in.
having covered high school sports, I find, and I saw this a lot, is you would see a 2-8 team from a really good league make the playoffs over a 7-win team in a really crappy league. And that sucks.
I played in Southern Section Division 1, which is the toughest CIF league. It might not be now, but it was when I was in high school. And that was the highest competitive league. There's no way that this would have ever slid, like ever.
And, of course, there's lots of people protesting and talking to the CIF about it, but it doesn't matter because the playoffs are in a couple days, and
Next
this
year,
team's going to get blown out in the first round.
Yeah, El Dorado's going to give up 70 points, and everybody's going to be even more upset and sad because kids are going to get beat up on for 4 quarters of football and still go home with 0 wins.
I think the funniest part about this is the coaches out there saying, our kids earned this. They deserved this. Well, whatever to that.
He's confused.
All right, let's move on to our one-line game previews for the week as we wrap up the show. Some big matchups in college football this week. Justin's going to handle the college. We'll start with number 3, Alabama versus number 17, Mississippi State.
Tide roll easy. Dak Prescott and Mississippi State don't stand a chance.
All right, Bama rolls easy. Number 6, Baylor versus number 12, Oklahoma.
Corey Coleman embarrasses Sooners defensive backs. He's going to have a field day, like a field day. He might score 3 or 4 times.
What do you think yardage?
He'll probably have like 8 catches, probably 250.
I was going to say 200 more.
Yeah.
All right.
This one could also get out of hand quickly because you know how Stoops usually doesn't show up for big games, whether they be BCS when it was BCS. But Baylor's got something to prove, especially after seeing how TCU performed against Oklahoma State. They do not want to be the Big 12 team that doesn't make the college football playoffs. So I feel like they will come out guns a-blazing and perform well.
Moving on to the NFL, Brandon, we've got the undefeated Patriots against their kryptonite, I guess we'll call it, the New York Giants at 5-4.
Not even Tyree or Manningham can help Giants.
So the run ends here.
Yeah. Gronk may even catch one with his face mask just to stick it to David Tyree.
The battle in the NFC West would be the Cardinals at the Seahawks.
Lynch grabs crotch, but because of groin strain. Cardinals win.
Calling the injury?
Calling the injury.
He's not going to stretch pregame?
So.
Yeah. Well, he's going to try to grab his crotch again. He'll probably hurt himself. But I think the Cardinals finally get over their hump and beat the Seahawks.
All right. First and foremost, we are all fans here in the bullpen, so let's take a look at some of the games our teams are playing this week. Starting in college football, we'll predict our final scores as we do each and every week. San Jose State, I'll go first, is taking on Nevada. They're going to need to win 2 of these last 3 to become bowl eligible and not get invited. I will take San Jose State in this game. I actually think they're going to win in Reno. Nevada's a 1-point favorite here, but I'll take San Jose State to win 28-24.
Finally, you show your alma mater some love.
Yes, sir. They look pretty good against BYU. They just kind of screwed that up there at the end.
Go for 2.
I would every time. USC, 16-point favorites at Colorado, JP.
We didn't cover last week, and I called that. Colorado, we should cover. USC 37, Colorado. Let's go 16.
All right, Sparky and the Sun Devils traveling to Washington. ASU is only 3-point favorites against UW.
I'm going first?
Sure.
Sun Devils 26, UW 20. It pains me to kind of say that. I don't know how we're going to hold them to 20 points, but I think we are. I think they finally get off the schneid and win a game because they need to win a game.
Eerily close to what I was going to say.
Oh, really?
Yeah, both 4.
I was wondering why you were looking at me like that.
Yeah, both 4 and 5. Really, Bull Hopes need to stay alive. Got to win this game. It's in Tempe, so I'll say 27-21 ASU with 0 injured Tempe City Councilmen.
Well done.
Bonus puntos.
Well done. 49ers are off this weekend, so as we move to the NFL, we'll start in the Bay Area, though. Minnesota taking on the Raiders. The Raiders somehow 3-point favorites in this game. What do you think here, Brobes?
Well, I think it's because the Vikings haven't really played anybody.
And they're the home team.
Yeah, and they're the home team.
So
So
it's a
it's
pick 'em, really.
essentially it's a pick. Teddy's got coming off the concussion and whatnot, and the Raiders are playing a lot better than people give them credit for. And that Derek Carr and Amari Cooper have found a connection, I think. The Vikings keep their streak alive of not giving up more than 23 points, but they don't score enough. I think Raiders win 23-17.
All right, final for this week. New Orleans in the nation's capital. They are 1-point favorites at your Redskins there, JP.
This will probably be a shootout, being as the New Orleans Saints couldn't spell defense if it was standing in front of them. Maybe Kirk shows up and plays well this one. Let's go with the hungry Redskin victory. Redskins 42, Saints 37.
Did you play that off your phone?
That wasn't me.
Who was
I
that?
have no idea.
It sounded like someone was actually hungry. That was weird. Did you do that, Vic?
Wow.
That's our man Vic back there
Yeah.
who needs to get some needs to get a burrito or something, dude.
Yeah, jeez.
Cat Vic hasn't eaten in weeks.
I think that's is him trying to say, "Hey guys, stop
like,
talking.
yeah.
I'm hungry."
All right, let's get out of here.
I'm a little sad we didn't get to talk about Bond though. Like we talked
yeah,
about it
we'll
last
talk
week.
about it. So the Bond movie came out this week. Next week, tune in because we're gonna break down our favorite James Bonds.
I'll go see it this week. Finally.
And
Yeah.
you'll never guess what the top 5 grossing Bond movies are.
Pierce
So
Brosnan.
we'll talk about that next week.
That's
Pierce Brosnan.
That's JP's.
If you have questions, comments, concerns, anything,
And we now have a Twitter. We
we now have a Twitter. Brandon, let us
It's
know.
at the Bullpen Pod.
At the Bullpen Pod. tweet at us.
Oh, scream at us fully.
Please tweet at us. Send us your emails, bullpenpodcast@gmail.com.
We need roster
And-
questions tonight.
Yeah.
If you want to direct message JP, I'm sure you can get the digits for cuffing season. Gentlemen, thanks so much for joining us in the bullpen once again. We'll see you next week.
Thanks, Vic.
Eat.
Oh.
So that was your stomach.
Okay.
That was great.
Vic.
Did you
Okay,
have
so
the
it wasn't
mic on your
actually-
stomach?
I did. I had it on my lap.
Vic, your stomach growled. Your stomach growled 4 times in the last 5 minutes.
But what
No,
he's saying
the
is that it
best
wasn't in the program. It
No,
was
the,
just
the best.
Because we kept looking at Evan, and Evan was like, "It's not me." I was
me.
like, "Man, that's fully
and then I
not my
started
stomach."
thinking, am I
The best
hungry?
part is that it was happening while he was talking about being hungry for a win.
Well, look, you said that because the
I
sound
said
came.
that because the growl was in there. I was like, I gotta play it off, or people are gonna be like,
That was too funny.
or people are gonna think
Oh,
I'm
man.
Allie LaForce.
Yeah, I thought, and he had his phone like up here. JP had his phone up here, so Evan and I are like, is he playing it
Oh,
off his
man.
phone?
I thought it was your mouth. It was like a,
Ventriloquist.
Oh man.
Man, Vic, go eat.
All right.